I'll tell you what, the way that game was going, especially early with Jaylen Brown hot and everything, and then late where the Celtics tie it up, it just felt like that's the kind of game in recent years until last year the Knicks would lose.
It's a great point. It's a great point. And how about Evan Fournier makes the defensive mistake that sends it into overtime, but then responds by making multiple threes. You know, I think you saw some signs from the Knicks that should help them. Evan Fournier, they needed to get somebody to balance the floor so that in the postseason when they load to Julius Randle, somebody else can put it on the deck and create either for himself or for somebody else. Interesting that they sub out Kemba Walker late. He had played so many minutes, and D. Rose gets off the dribble drive for that big-time bucket. Like, that was so fun to watch last night.
I mean, seeing Spike Lee courtside, seeing Tracy Morgan courtside, it felt like the Garden was back. But I got to give him a lot of credit because it's a lot of the small things that sometimes I think Julius Randle does that people don't give him credit for. He almost had a triple-double last night. I mean, the rebounding and the passing.
Oh, the
way he
passes to
affects
Mitch Robinson inside was like they had it going.
And think about it, guys. This is new, right? So if you remember 2 years ago, the criticism of Julius was he wouldn't distribute the basketball. He was always looking for his own. A season ago, career high in assists. Really understands that, okay, the double's going to come to me. The floor is going to be loaded to me. I've got to find guys. And I only think that's going to grow. I think the key for me, Jay, is Kemba Walker's left knee going to hold up?
Yes.
Because if it does, now you've got real options on the offensive side of the floor.
If it does, where do you think they fit in the Eastern Conference race?
Well, you know, I said this. I thought last night if it was indicative of any one thing in particular, it's the depth of the Eastern Conference. Because those are not two teams that are going to get ahead of either Milwaukee, who to me right now is a step above everybody else, or even the Brooklyn Nets. But the fact of the matter is, they're both really quality teams, and trying to win against either of them, you're going to have to work for it.
I mean, Miami's gotten better.
Chicago
has gotten better. The Washington Wizards, low-key, have gotten better as well. So, I mean, the depth, I'm with you, Doris. It's really there. What do you make of everything happening in Philly? Obviously, you know, the reports last night about them playing, but them going out to team dinner.
Right.
You heard Joel Embiid talk about this is the first time pretty much in his career that he is not going into his hotel room and just play video games. They're doing team bonding experiences. Yeah. It feels like it's actually his team.
Well, I think he's relishing the opportunity to take this adversity and try to become the leader that's going to be required in this drama with Ben Simmons. But what happened last night? They won on the road in the NBA. No Zion, I get it, but winning on the road is still tough. They only had a 6-point edge with 9:23 left to go in the game, and yet Furkan Korkmaz goes north of 20. They had their first and second point guards because Shake Milton would have started the point. He's nowhere near ready because of the ankle, and yet Tyrese Maxey goes for 27 and 5. Like, as much as we've talked about the drama and how that's going to weigh on the Sixers, and it is, those are facts. The first question Doc was asked in the postgame was sort of the Ben Simmons situation. But I really believe, Key, that Joel Embiid is going to relish the opportunity to take on leadership in a very tough moment for them.
How long do you think that drama, Doris, will continue? Will they get smart in Philadelphia? And I guess we'll see in the season opener whether they roll Ben Simmons out or make him stay home. How long do you think that drama will happen, or will they just say, you know what, we're going to pay you, and why don't you just sit on the side, not in the stadium, but stay home until we figure it out?
Well, they're reporting that today Ben Simmons is expected to show up at practice. And so Keyshawn's reaction is classic. I wish our listeners could see how viscerally he reacted to that comment. So if you're him or you're that organization, you're not going to have the resolve to keep making that young man show up, keep making him pay financially and inflicting that kind of pain. You'd go in an entirely different direction.
Yes, Doris, here's why I would do that. Because much like you just mentioned 45 seconds ago, the distraction. I don't need the distraction coming into the building because now, one, you got to continue to answer questions. Two, I don't like you as a player. Why are you bringing him into the building? We know what he is, right? So why do we keep bringing that poison, as like people like to say, locker room cancer, whatever? Why are you bringing that in here? And instead of just saying, let's send him home, and we can keep winning because it's a distraction. And then if you decide to put him on the bench, Jay, and dress him in street clothes.
Every game.
That's a problem.
It feels like it's personal, Doris. And I'm just me being subjective, right? Some of my friends will always text because they're Philly fans, like, we want him to hurt. We want him to feel it. He let us down. And like that's the only feeling that kind of comes to mind for me. Like, do you just want to publicly shame him? I don't know.
But that's bad business, though.
I don't know.
How about 1,000 miles away from the game in New Orleans at the Flyers game? There are anti-Ben Simmons chants in Philly. You think that fan base isn't going to get after that young man when he hits the floor?
That's what I'm saying.
They
Why would
took
do
care
that?
of him. What's so bizarre about this is he's such a fantastic player in so many ways. And Philly fans coddled him, if
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
And he was the one, after he played poorly, after they'd sent Joel Embiid's best friends away, Redick, Butler, they didn't resign. If they seemed, the town, the organization, seemed to bend over backwards for Ben Simmons, he kind of messes up, right? And he's the one who wants nothing to do with them?
Right.
I can't remember anything quite like it.
Yeah, he's the guy who, 5 years into his NBA career, not only hasn't improved his three-point shot, but is unwilling to take it. Like Philly fans, I think, would accept failure if you weren't so afraid to shoot the ball. I mean, you went, 5 fourth quarters without taking a shot. I mean, that's unheard of in the modern NBA. Come on.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.